So I guess this is for both March and June. So we're kind of combining forces. This isn't information. It's not even really a kickoff call. It's just, information about the trip. I think most of you have been to Kenya before, right? Raise your hand if you've been to Kenya. Amy's like 6 times. Lindy's like, this will be number 4. Marianne, is this number 4? 3? Really? Seems like you've been a lot more than that. Okay, awesome. So my goal with this is to really give you just kind of an overview of the trip and what it entails, and so that you can make a decision. And so we're going to start. Let me just hang on a second. I'm just going to kind of pull up my overview. Not wrong folder. Okay. I should have been more prepared. Sorry about that. So we're going to just kind of go over like the logistics and stuff like that of what a trip entails. Amy, if I'll have you talk a little bit about your vision for June, and I'll talk a little bit about my vision for March and some of the things that we can do. But just a little bit of history for the few of you who have no idea who I am, a couple of you. um, my name is Heidi Totten. I am the founder of 100 Humanitarians International, and we have been working in Kenya for the last 10 years. In March, it'll be our 10th anniversary. So, woo! And we primarily work with families teaching economic development and self-reliance. So we have different programs that we do with food, water, education, and health. And then we have different projects that fall under those pillars. And so every expedition is designed to move those pillars forward. So we do at least one project that falls under each of those pillars. And that way, it's kind of like we're weaving this tapestry, and every person that comes on a trip and every expedition is just creating more weaves in that tapestry to create something really beautiful overall. So some of the stats for you: we have done over 40 expeditions and taken over 400 people to Kenya. In our sustainable food projects, we have built over 22,000 garden towers, and which is like huge. We've been doing it for 5 years, the Garden Tower Project, and we've been able to reach 1.5% of the population in Kenya living below the poverty line. So that's a really, that's statistically significant. I've told the team we have to create a white paper around that. That's like we could send it to Harvard or some other fancy place. Anyway, so I don't know what Harvard would do with it, but I want to send it to fancy places. So anyway, we've also done a lot of water projects. Along the food lines, we do garden towers and chickens and sometimes goats. Um, Anything in the food related is something that can be regenerated, right? Something that they can do over and over and over again. Um, I I try to stick with things that they would be able to sell. And so anything that can produce something that they can sell in their community to not only eat for themselves, but also generate an income, falls in that category. For water, we start with rainwater capture. And it might be, so the challenge with water is that these families often have to walk up to 5 miles back and forth several times a day. So they can walk for 5 or 6 hours a day just getting enough water for the basics. And it's not clean water, it's disgusting water. It's water you wouldn't even go near under any circumstances. And this is their daily drinking water. So cholera and other waterborne diseases are very, very prevalent. And so with the rainwater capture, we're at least able to, it's not clean, but it's cleaner. And then with storage, we're able to allow them fewer trips to go and get water. Because if you can imagine, they're going and they're filling up their 20-liter jugs. They call them jerry cans. I don't know why they're not cans, and I don't know why. There you go. I haven't actually asked that question in 10 years. Why do you call it this? Maybe that's the assignment for March. Figure out why they're called jerry cans. Anyway, they would fill them up, and then if they didn't use all the water, they would have no place to put the storage before they had to go and get more water. And so that's been a big deal. And then we do spring protection projects when we can, and then if we're really trying to make a change in a community, we'll drill a borehole, which we've only done 4 or 5 in Kenya during all this time because they're super, super expensive, but there it is. Under education, we sponsor students. We do literacy programs, thanks to Amy, both financial and language. And then we also do skills development, like sewing centers and things like that. And that's another project that it depends on the location. So we're not just like building sewing centers all over the place. It depends on, what's going on in a particular community. And then under our health pillar, we have Hope Kits, which are reusable feminine hygiene kits. And we have Hope Sacks, which are fabric thermal cookers that reduce the amount of time that women have to spend cooking over a fire. And then we built a dental clinic last year. Yay! And so we're taking dental teams to Kenya to do work there. So anyway, so those are our projects. In our board meeting, and I love this concept, so I'm trying to bring it in. Alan, our board chair, Alan's Amy's brother, for those of you who don't know, he talked about, this was like in September, I think, or October, and he talked about the concept of horizon projects, which are literally like, we will never be able to, in our lifetime, plant enough garden towers. Like it's horizon. It's always going, versus vertical projects, which are like drilling a borehole and solving a problem. And so we're kind of distinguishing our projects based on, oh, is that a horizon project or is that a vertical project? And figuring out how to implement both. And so that's, just kind of a discussion that we'll have when we're getting ready for the trip is, do we want to do a vertical project? Do we want to solve a problem? Do we want to focus on horizon goals? What do we want to do when it comes to fundraising and the types of projects that we'll do? Okay, so that's kind of an overview of 100 Humanitarians and the types of things that you would be doing on the ground. I want to walk you through an expedition and what it looks like as far as just the logistics. So the cost for the expedition really includes everything except your flight, insurance, and we don't buy souvenirs for you. Everything else it covers. And so like all your transportation, all of your excursions, all of the, like anything that we do on the ground, safari, food, all accommodations, all of that. The only thing that you would need extra money for, like I said, are souvenirs. And like sometimes we stop by the side of the road and people buy random stuff. Just having cash on hand. I guess I would call that souvenirs, but like if we stop at a gas station and you go and get a soda, or something like that, it's just like just little things like that. And so so when looking at the price, one of the things that you should know is that this is, because we're a nonprofit, this can be a tax write-off depending on how you itemize your taxes. Okay, so you will get a receipt and all of that. Talk to your accountant and see what you can do with that. But it is considered, because you're doing service every day, it is considered a donation. So therefore, it actually reduces the amount of the trip based on that. The other thing is, and I was just telling Tiffany about this when I was hanging out with her this weekend, is that you can donate stock to reduce your taxable stock if that's something that you play in as well. And Melanie is actually an accountant, so she could answer these questions for us if we needed her to. She's my accountant, so there you go. And so, so with that, just know that everything is taken care of, and we make it all inclusive so that it's easier for you on the ground. I will tell you that the costs in Kenya have gone up. Like in 10 years ago, I could run this trip, not staying in the same places, but run this trip for 1,500. So where costs have gone up in the US, they've gone up in Kenya just as much. It's really kind of crazy. However, the places that we stayed 10 years ago were sketchier. Like there was more risk of electrocution when you took a shower and more risk of getting eaten alive by bugs than there is today. So I don't know if you'll thank me for that, or if you want a more authentic experience, I can suggest other companies to go with. But my priority is that you are experiencing this with the utmost safety. And I think most of you on this call have experienced this, so you know what I'm talking about, that we are staying in places where you are kept safe. So logistically, we will coordinate our flights. This is on either trip, either March or June. We coordinate our flights, and then so that we land in Kenya. So you can use points, you can use anything like that, but we ask you to try and coordinate with our travel agent just so that you land at the same time. If you go rogue and you book your own flight and you do all of that, it's on you. I'll give you an example. In 2022, Amy and Alan and Emily, and there are a few of your nieces. No, one of your nieces and Alan's daughter. And then another family, we were all going to Kenya, and the other family's flight got canceled, and they had booked through Expedia. And there was literally nothing that our travel agent could do. Where if they had booked through her, she could have finagled it and gotten them on different flights. But because they were going through Expedia, like they were trying all night and they ended up missing the entire trip because of that. And so it is just better for peace of mind. Now, right now, the prices in March are like amazing. And so I'm like, oh, let's go get our flights, because they're the lowest that I've seen since COVID. And so that's pretty cool. I don't know about June. You'll have to price watch on that.
Haven't looked yet.
Okay. But anyway, so we coordinate that so that we land, we get on the shuttle, and we go straight to our hotel, which is the Crowne Plaza. You will feel like you're still in America. You will get a good night's sleep. You'll have amazing pineapple mint juice in the morning and an incredible buffet for breakfast. And Marianne's like, exactly, like we know, right? And we do that because the last place that we stayed was actually the same price, and you could wake up to an ant infestation on the floor. So we've switched to the same price and better accommodations. Okay. So you'll have a lovely breakfast, and then we hit the road and we head out to wherever we're going for our first destination. I think with both of these trips, our goal is to go to Bomet on both of these trips. And so it adds just a different feeling to it in being able to experience both locations. And so that's what we're working on. Both trips will include 2 days of safari. And I think, you can imagine safari is like the coolest thing on the planet, unless you're me, because I've been like 75 times. So I usually skip a day and stay home and sleep and send y'all out at 6 a.m.
Which is totally worth it. Totally worth it. Don't let her scare you off.
No, it is totally worth it. It's just literally like that way. I'm like, I have a day to just decompress. And so while all y'all are out and, falling in holes and getting eaten by lions and whatever happens out there, just kidding. I have had nobody eaten by a lion. That's a good record. 400 people, no one's been eaten by a lion. Melanie's like, I'll be the first one. Yet.
You just have to run faster than the slowest person. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Get on that treadmill. Knock on wood, nobody's gotten malaria either. So, and, I can go into, the meds, shots, all of that is all in the training. So when you sign up for an expedition, you will get a liability waiver to sign that basically says no one in your family will sue us if you do get eaten by a lion. Trip insurance is also mandatory so that if something were to happen to you, we could get you out of the country. That is a huge expense that we cannot take on as a humanitarian organization, and nobody has ever had to use it. So, I mean, for that. But it also protects you that if your trip gets canceled, then you can get a refund. We can't refund because once the money is sent over to Kenya, we can't get it back.
And so please get your trip insurance, not just to cover what you pay to 100H, but to cover your flight as well.
Flight.
So now, whatever you end up spending, have it cover both pieces of that trip. We had a lady last summer that only did what she paid to 100H and got reimbursed for that, but not for her flight. So FYI.
But you can, if you have to cancel your flight, you can get credit for it. So there is that. You know, you just can't get reimbursed if you don't cover the whole thing. So when you book your flight with Susie, she can give you quotes for your trip insurance as well. I don't know why I just went like that. It's like a talking with my hand thing. I have to it's like I'm grabbing weird things out of the air. Anyway.
Like you're Vanna White.
I'm Vanna White. I'm flipping things. So also, if you are traveling with us, March or June, check your passports right now to see if they expire within that 6-month period. That's what happened to Melanie, is that her passport had expired. So you'll need to get it renewed between now and then because you have to have more than 6 months left on it in order to travel into Kenya. So make sure that you check that as well. I mean, right now, no one would really be in danger of not getting it renewed during that time, but just so you're aware. So we also have a portal on Basecamp, and Basecamp is our project management software, and in that portal, there's a ton of training. So all of your questions will be answered in there. And if you have new questions, then we'll answer some more. I've had Amy go over that training with a fine-tooth comb asking questions. And literally, I will say that if you go through that training, you will be very prepared for this trip. And if you don't, then on the ground, you'll be like, why didn't you tell me this? And we'll say it's in the training. And we'll know that you didn't do the training. And then you get points withdrawn from something. Just kidding.
And then the school teacher in me comes out and says, oh,
Amy's like, you don't
just like my 8th graders.
Yeah. So
is there an osmosis version of this training?
An osmosis? No, but it's not that complicated. You just read it, you know, like it's just, and it's like, we also have 3 calls. So we have a kickoff call that's about 60 days out. So you can go ahead and sign up at any time, but the kickoff call is 60 days out. Then we have a 30 days out call because at that point, you'll be applying for your ETA. Kenya used to have a visa. Then they very proudly said they got rid of a visa and did an ETA, which is the exact same thing as a visa. There you go.
But it's a much easier process this time.
It is an easier process, and it's $15 cheaper. It's like $35 online. But that being said, that kind of defines Kenya, is that they would eliminate something that they were making $15 more on. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. So then we have a 30-day call, and then we have a 7-day out call, about a week out, where we're just doing a blitz of everything. You have packing lists. You have, we update the packing lists regularly, but the stuff that's on the packing list is really, it's a suggestion based on all the things that we have experienced and encountered. It doesn't mean that you will necessarily need a headlamp, but if I say, no, don't worry about a headlamp, I swear you'll need a headlamp on your trip. It'll just happen like that. You know, even if you have a flashlight on your phone, for some reason, a headlamp will be required. So anyway, that's what we do for a reason. The type of paperwork that you'll need to sign the liability waiver, and that's a DocuSign. And then we'll also need a copy of your passport, the bio sheet. as well as a copy of your ETA once you get it, so that we have it on hand in case something happens and you lose it in country. And I also haven't had anyone lose a passport. So there we go. Like I've never had
I've had Marianne drop hers around a few times where we've had to go and find it. So FYI,
It was
get zipper
just
pockets
one,
on your
and it
pants.
was in the Jeep.
Okay, so here's the thing that I also recommend is that you get something, some sort of bag that you carry on you at all times that has your cash and your passport and your visa and any paperwork you might need at all times. You know,
I did not wear those
you don't
pants
leave that anywhere when we
again
go.
the rest of the trip. So
Yeah, Marianne's like sticking it in my bra. So, okay, awesome. All right, so base camp, and then everybody can bring a backpack and a 50-pound bag. Let me talk a little bit about donations, because those of you who have gone in the past, we've gathered a bunch of donations. Kenya has started, they've really cracked down on stuff. Becky, on her last trip just a couple months ago, they stopped her and she had a donation suitcase full of children's clothes, and they wanted to fine her for the used children's clothes. They wanted to find out like the amount that, and they delayed her for like an hour. And so I'm getting to the point where I'm going to call it and say, let's not deal with donation suitcases unless it's like really critical that we take stuff, because none of us want to be delayed an hour while we sit there and get interrogated by customs. And I was interrogated in April, and Marissa was stopped in October. And so they're really, I think they're just, kind of being stupid. They also, last year, they were only scanning like your carry-on bags, and now they're scanning your checked bags, and they'll put like a big X in chalk. The other thing is that like the expats in Kenya group on Facebook says to bring wipes and just wipe off the X so that they can't see it. So because that's what they're pulling off. So it means that when the suitcases have come off, they've looked to see, or they're scanning them to see if there's anything in them, putting X's on them so that they can get money in customs. It's a total racket, and I don't want to contribute to it. So although I did get $7,500 worth of stuff for free in April because I played really, really stupid. So if you do get pulled over, you just play really dumb. Anyway, so at this point, we're just being very cautious and, kind of determining based on where we go. We have told people in Kenya, we're like, don't ask for donations, like we're not going to be. So if you get messages, those of you who have been before, if somebody in Kenya finds out you're coming again and they message you, will you bring me a phone, perfume, essential oils, all the things, you just say, we can't anymore, like we're just not allowed to. And, we'll just kind of figure it out from there and see how things go. But I'm not worried about bringing a donation suitcase at this point. So when we do the kickoff call, we do set up team expedition or like expedition fundraisers. And the idea behind it is to just fundraise for the projects that we're doing. And those links can be shared, and we calculate the total. It's all done on our fundraising software. We suggest just reaching out to family and friends and saying, hey, we're doing these projects. Will you donate $25 or more? And, pretty much we usually get a lot of donations and a lot of really positive stuff. We are, like I said, we're kind of shifting things as far as like the horizon goals and the vertical goals. And so, we'll talk about that and what needs to be moved forward while we're there. I'm excited to say that we spent years just having like 50 monthly donors, and as of today, we have 99. So it's kind of fun that things are like growing. Melanie's like, oh, that's more I have to keep track of. So, but it's exciting because these these Horizon projects, we're creating teams of monthly donors, and we're going to have like competitions, and we're going to just make it fun, and we're going to do some fun things for the more monthly donors, as far as like having exclusive calls and Zoom calls with like directors in the field and getting updates that way. So we're going to make it more engaging and interactive. Okay, so we also, like on that 60-day call, we kind of set a goal and say, you know, let's see if we can raise $5,000 or whatever it is, you know, just depending on what we're trying to do. But it just makes it so that it's fun. I think maybe I will be like, okay, the highest fundraiser gets something cool. Like I'll just make a competition out of it. And if people want to play, then they can. Look at Cassie's face. She's like, I'm going to win. Just kidding. Okay, so based on, like, I kind of done a high level overview. My vision for March is, you know, because it's the 10th anniversary, I really want to just make it special. I have some things that I want to do. I have some, I'm having some conversations with people. There are surprises that I want to have as part of it. But I just am kind of in awe. I am taking 6 people in March, so it is not gonna, I'm limiting it because I want to limit to 1 Jeep, so that it's really cohesive. And so, you know, that's my plan on that. Amy, what's your vision for June?
I really want to check in on we have a financial literacy program that Anita has taken home with her. Marissa took it over in October. But it's over in Western, in Beaumet mostly. And Anita, I sent her home with a couple more games when she was here last month or just a couple weeks ago. And I really want to check in on those and see how they're doing. And then once we get to the Mara, I want to obviously check in with Obolette and see how their language games are going, as well as the women, build some garden towers, check in on our projects.
Awesome. One of the things that I was going to suggest that we could do is a combined vertical goal, if we wanted to do that. Like last year, a couple people who shall remain nameless did a greenhouse, you know, which was pretty cool. But doing something that is like that, it solves a problem. You know, so we can kind of see what are things on the Mara that we could do a joint mission for, if we wanted to do something like that. And it would be fun to be like, you know, I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with. It could be at Obolette, or it could be the boreholes on the Mara we kind of said, we're done. They're too expensive. And here's the thing that I will tell you, that sometimes you just have to go, I just have to like check in and say, you know what, this is a problem the community needs to solve. If we're helping them with these things, they need to really like step up and do this. And as our warriors get older and get more connected to their county government, I think they need to be going to the county government leaders for some of these bigger projects that have bigger impact. And so, you know, so anyway, we'll look and see what comes up. I would absolutely love to build something, honestly.
I think where Miss Lucy, for those of you that don't know, is the director of Obolette Primary School, which is kind of a school that we have more or less adopted. Lucy was Moses's teacher at one point when Moses was a small little child who hasn't changed his attitude much. So we're excited about that. We love her, and it's an incredibly poor school. She runs a private school. So they do not get any funding from the Kenyan government, and she has bootstrapped this thing from the get-go. And I know several of you have met Lucy and know what an amazing woman she is. And Dixon, her husband, is there with her and supports her. School is out right now, but I would love to talk to her when school gets back in. She has recently secured 2 additional buildings from outside 100H that have expanded one building and built a whole new classroom. And in the one expansion, she's been able to put bunk beds and is starting to board girls so that she can keep them safe from what happens on the way to school. So I would love to see if there was something we could do to further that cause. In order to be a boarding school, they have to meet specific requirements and have bits and pieces along the way. And I know she's been working with that. So their kitchen could also use some help. We could rebuild their kitchen, perhaps,
I would love to rebuild their kitchen.
as would I.
It is a health
Moses,
hazard.
when I say that to Moses, he thinks I mean like full refrigerator, kitchen sink, all that stuff. And I'm like, Moses, they just need 4 walls that aren't collapsing on each other right now.
Yeah.
So, that would be something to look at.
Anyway, like a refrigerator at Old Bullet. Okay.
They don't even have power.
We'll just hook up the grid too.
Yep. We'll
Throw
just
a
get rid of
solar
it.
panel on the roof of the greenhouse and okay. Yeah, I just want
Lots of
something
fun.
ventilated, for crying out loud. Yeah, that would actually be really cool to do something like, building a kitchen. And here's why, because, okay, so I would really love that if we wanted to figure that out, because on my very first expedition that I took teams, not the one in 2015, but the one in 2016, we built a kitchen for a school. So it would be like 9 years later. And, and that was a school on the Mao, because their kitchen, literally, it was just a, like mud and sticks, and it fell down the mountain. It was so awful. And so we built a new kitchen, and we did, it was like a celebration. It was really cool. So, so that would be nice. Is that kitchen, what is it made out of? Is it brick? I don't even
No,
remember.
it's aluminum siding.
Oh, aluminum siding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could figure out something that would be cool, but so that we could also like get the smoke out. That poor cook all day inhaling that. I
They
mean,
do have 3 Hope sacks though, remember?
I know, but still, that it's so
Yeah.
smoky. It's so gross. And I know that you can do it because I've seen them do it in houses where you can have like a stove, but then the pipe goes up out the back. So it reduces it a bit, so that would be something really cool. And that way, you got to know that those kids, when they go up to get food, they're inhaling that smoke too, as they all line up. So that would be I think a good vertical project there. So, all right. Any questions coming to mind? Melanie?
I was late, so pardon this question. For each trip, what's the cost?
So the cost is $39.50 plus the flight, the insurance, I guess the ETA, it's $35 online. And if you guys like, I know for those of you going on the March trip, I think it's really critical that we go ahead and get flights while they're so cheap, because they're cheap. If you're going on the June trip, I'd like basically reach out to me, because if you need to set up a payment schedule or something like that, we just need to have it paid within 60 days out. And so because of like where we're staying and stuff like that, it can be arranged more. And so because now we have a contract with some of the hotels on things. And so anyway, so just reach out to me on that and we can figure that out. And then, like I said, you'll get receipts, and, it can be a write-off and stuff like that. So also, I just want to say, if you want the write-off this year, pay it before the end of the year. And if you're like, I need the write-off next year, then pay it, in like January or whenever next year starts. So figure out when you want the deduction, because we have like a couple weeks left in this year where you could get it for this year. So, yep. Anything else? I gave Tiffany like a big lowdown Tiffany was my college roommate, by the way. So we were the number
That is
9.
literally my only claim to fame. So
It is her only claim to fame. No, it's not. Oh, it's
but
not.
it's my best one.
Hey, you know what? This is kind of a cool side project is that so Tiffany, like she loves to hang out with parolees from hardened prisons, the prison system in California. But anyway, so we're kind of talking with one about a possibility of putting garden towers in San Quentin in Northern California as part
So
of
that Froley was actually curious and is listening in on this call.
He is? Where? Which one is he?
No, he's right here.
Oh, he's right here. Hi, Patrick. So I'm super excited because we could get garden towers in our prison system, which I think would be amazing. Because we've seen how it's changed people in Kenya, like ended alcoholism and stuff like that. So I'm super excited to see what we can do with that. Anyway.
I do
right.
really like hardened criminals also.
What?
I do really like hardened criminals also. So
She does. Tiffany, she's got she likes the bad boys. Anyway, okay. Any other questions that you can think of?
Both links are live for registration on 100H. In case you want to go sign up, they're both live. Heidi, I don't know. I know Heidi's trip got changed to $39.50. Did you change?
I think I changed yours too.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I was verifying because, okay, how dumb is this? They're having Safari. Like, nobody really knows in 2025 how much Safari is going to be. So, and when like this year they did it, so they were like, oh, between January and June it's this price, and between July and December it's this price. So anyway, so I was trying to verify that, but I think if I've seen it right on websites that it doesn't flip over until July, which would mean that it was okay for you guys. So anyway, let me just look and see if I switched that, because I think I did, because I was trying to because what I'm trying to do, just Amy, for your reference, is to go back to Zephy on this so that it doesn't take out the fees.
Right.
So let me just check. All
Heidi,
right.
while you're looking at that, can I ask just real quick since I'm coming from a different state? I know you and I talked about it, but will you let us know when you start looking at plane tickets?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to get mine like ASAP.
Okay.
Do the dates March 13th through 23rd work for everyone that's going in March? Like, I mean, not the June people, but the March people, because that's what I'm looking at are those dates. And so, so yeah.
So as soon as you have yours, I'll do mine to try to time it.
Okay. So I am just seeing, okay, no, I'll update yours right now, Amy.
Cool.
Okay, any other questions?
Amy, I missed this part. Possibly, when is the June trip?
June 19th through the 29th.
Okay.
We're leaving on a Thursday this round, and we are going to go over to Beaumet. So we'll come in Friday night and spend the night, and then Saturday we'll travel over to Beaumet, probably spend the night in Beaumet, and then travel to the Mara on Sunday.
You probably won't stay the night in Beaumet. You'll probably stay the night in Narek. You'll like go to Narek and then up and back. So,
cool.
All right. So what are your dates, Amy? That was the
June 19 through the 29th.
Okay.
That gives me a little breathing room after school gets out this year, rather than, oh, school gets out and I leave the next day. I learned that was not my favorite thing.
Gosh. Okay.
Any other questions from June or March?
And if you have other people who I mean, it really is first come, first serve.
We do have, I think my team already knows, we do have Tina that has joined our team. She's not on this call, but I mean, she signed up like 3 weeks ago or something. So I met her at the gala. She's going to be delightful. She'll be a great fit for the trip.
And her niece came with us twice years ago,
Cool.
which is fun.
So wait, who are the other first timers besides me? Is there anyone? Am I the only first timer?
The blank iPhone.
Hello.
I
Gwen.
am.
Oh, yay!
I'm a
Are you
first
going on
timer.
March? Are you going on March or June?
June.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry.
It's all right. I feel like Heidi's gonna haze me or something anyway. When she
Yeah.
said she has special things planned, I got nervous.
No, just look at it as you have all this experience in the March trip, so you can ask all the questions and they can tell you from experience.
That's true. That is true.
What kind of shoes are they packing? What kind of pants do they like? Like, I asked Amy all of these questions on my first trip. What did you find works the best?
Yeah.
So
That's what I was quizzing Heidi. We hadn't even had this call, and I'm like, okay, what clothes should I be
yeah,
thinking about, right? Like,
yep.
I'm like,
All
just
the things that you think
prom
about.
dresses are fine. All right. I think that I've updated this. If I haven't, because it's late and I'm tired, then
I'll let you know tomorrow.
yeah.
Heidi, is the house in the culture center that's on tomorrow, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah. It's 10 minutes from the Safari Gate.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Well, then if there aren't any other questions, let me just actually put the links in here just so that you can grab them. Well, actually, if you just go to either one of these and then just pick which one you're going to go on. And then I'm going to, let's see, tomorrow's Tuesday. I believe that Tuesdays are the best days to get flights. That's a travel
Disney
myth.
will be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, but I'm gonna. I know that that. What's her name? Megan messaged me and said, "Oh, the prices for your dates are like $11.66 or something, which is so cheap compared to like that they have been." So anyway, so I'm sure I'll just look it up on Delta and see where we're at with that. But then I think you guys can hold off. The June group can hold off on flights at this point, but I would get it sooner than later because that is like, post.
It's the beginning of safari season, but I'm hoping that since we don't have the Olympics and the Tour de France and all the things happening at the same time in Europe now, that
was insane.
maybe they won't be $2,700 again.
Oh my gosh, that was insane.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
But I will send Megan our date. Megan is Susie's person over at the travel, and just to have her keep an eye on them for us. They do that all the time.
Yeah, it's Unrivaled Travel Experiences. So you can call on that as well. So, okay, great. Well, if we have no other questions, then I'll go ahead and sign off. Like I said, I've recorded this. So, if you have anyone else that, a friend that was interested or something like that, I do know we have a lot of interest for it. So sooner rather than later, message me if you need to figure stuff out and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Kenya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.